Back in 1985, 1986, 1987, I was manufacturing fire panels for Edwards of Canada. And today, almost 40 years later, some of those panels are still operating. I know that because I service them. So you might say that's good value. I would argue it's good value. So what's a good what's an example of not so good value? Well, I would say if you had your fire alarm inspected to a 1986 standard in 2017 or earlier, I'd say that you got very poor value. I would even go as far to say is if you inspected your fire panel to a 1986 standard, it's worthless. Yeah, worthless. And then there's always the repairs. The repairs are based on a 1986 standard. Then one could argue that you did repairs based on a outdated standard. I mean, think about it. 1986, Ronald Reagan was still president. '86 standard does not provide for documentation on any of the new modern equipment we have. Fire alarm loops, isolators, sequence, any of that. It's not there. So, like, I'd love to know why anybody bought a 1986 standard in modern times. You paid good money for it. I'd love to know why. I have my ideas. I know property managers have their preferred contractors. I get that. And I know why they're preferred. But I'm just going to say that the guy that sold you that, he's a used car salesman. Just letting you know. Or an ex-used car salesman. So what do you expect? But at least if I paid 2017 for a Nissan, so I'll say I paid cash for a car and it's 2017, and he hands over the keys and it only fits a 1986 Chev, I'd get pretty upset. I'd probably notice. But at least I will say one thing, the 1986 Chev does have value. Again, a 1986 fire alarm inspection, it's got no value, zero. So, read the front page. I mean, I started noticing this back in, 2012. I could see it from a mile away, because in 1987, 88, 89, I was doing them. I was doing inspections based on a 1986 standard. So, I mean, I didn't even have to get down to the bottom of the page where it says CAN ULC S536-M86. What's the M stand for? What's the metric? I phoned ULC just to refresh my memory, and he goes, like, you got to be kidding me. There's actually people still using the 1986 standard? And I go, yeah, unfortunately, we do have car salesmen, ex-car salesmen in this business, and yeah, that's what they're doing. Let's talk about Ralph. Talk about fire alarm fraud. Talk about Ralph. Ralph is a friend of mine from Pakistan. I'm sure he's connected. He's got to be connected at a very high level in politics or something, in office. Technically, he wasn't that good. He's a fire alarm tech, I think. Fire alarm tech. Not very talented. But he was good at picking up jobs. He was good at picking up City of Toronto, Old City Hall, Union Station, Toronto Public Library, fire stations, including the library that I studied at in college, and I also serviced their fire panel. Yeah, he was pretty good. City of Kitchener, Ajax, Barrie, Dufferin School. So, I did a lot of work with Ralph. And then, I noticed a pattern developing with him. He was hiring unqualified guys, could barely speak English. I think they came fresh off the arrivals gate at Pearson. And I mentioned it to him. I said, Ralph, you might want to hire somebody that's qualified and has tools. And he pretty much ignored that. And then in 2010, Toronto Fire asked me, they showed up on one of the sites I was working on his behalf, third party. We do a lot of third party in Ontario. He goes, or she goes, she asked me, are you with Advanced Fire? I said, no, I'm third party. She goes, oh, okay, that's good, because we really don't want them on this site. So, you know what, I mentioned that to him back then. That's 2010, that's almost 10 years ago. And I go, you know, people are asking questions, and everybody knows what you're doing, kind of. Just wanted to let you know. So anyways, they followed him around. 2017, they put the pressure on him, and he was definitely caught fraudulent inspections and repairs. 2 addresses, Queens Quay and Birchmont. Deputy fire chief had a statement, and he goes, yeah, we caught this individual falsifying reports and repairs, and they've charged him on the Ontario Fire Code. He goes, wait a minute, he does all our buildings, what's going on? So he went to Toronto Facilities Management Department, and they covered it up. They go, oh no, he's we have all the paperwork for him and all the repairs, everything's in order. And the deputy fire chief goes, well, can you show me? And they covered it up, they wouldn't show it to him, and they have to by law. I believe they have to. He goes, either show me or I'll go to the Auditor General. And he had to go to the Auditor General, and she got to the bottom of it. Boy, did she ever get to the bottom of it. It's in the link below. So, the other thing I want to mention Ralph did, he painted up his trucks to look like official City of Toronto fire inspection trucks. And it was like, really, Ralph? Like, we're out in this parking lot one day, his parking lot, and this truck comes at us, this van, and it's like, oh, here comes the City of Toronto. What are they doing here? And it gets closer, and I go, that's your company. Like, just weird. I think that's what did him in, actually. He might have got away with everything if it wasn't for that. I doubt it, but that's crossing the line. I've actually seen that before. Just not... No, I haven't. Anyways, they busted him in 2018. And he went to court in 2019. He got 2 years probation. And I think inside of $1 million fine. And when I look at it over the course of time, he probably did... Oh, he might have done $5 to $10 million worth of business. He's probably banked it offshore or something. He's probably sitting just fine. I don't talk to him anymore. I haven't talked to him for about a month and a half. He changed all his phone numbers, and I don't know what they are, but he chats on the internet the odd time. And that's the only communication we have. So, you think the customers got good value? You think the City of Toronto got good value? Well, I will say that they did when I was... Okay, so some of the service calls I did on his behalf, yeah, they got good value. But I don't know what... I mean, I know what I invoiced, but I don't know what he invoiced. Doing a service call for Nick over at 911. Nick asked me to repair the ambulance doors. He said when the fire alarm goes off, the ambulance doors open, and transients come in, and in the middle of the night, it's too much for the security guard to deal with. He goes, can you take that out of the sequence? So we got permission from the authorities, so written permission. So I go in there at 8:30 in the morning, and I find the relay responsible for it, and I disconnect it. And about, I don't know, 10:45 in the morning, I go, oh, okay, Nick, it's done. You want to test it? He goes, yeah, sure. So we test it, we pull the pull station. Ambulance doors didn't open. And he gives me this look, whoa. I go, what? He goes, I've had at least 10 contractors in here to do that, and none of them could do it. I go, oh, okay. And I thought to myself, well, that's good value. And I guess, you know, I went to a Bob Seger concert in the mid-70s back in Detroit. And Bob Seger played his first set. The MC comes out and he goes, you paid your money, you want to hear some more? And the crowd roared. Money's awful hard to get these days. And the crowd roared again, but a dull roar, because it was so true. And that stuck with me my whole life. I had that value system before I went to that concert, but for sure I had it after I went to the concert. I recorded it, by the way. I used to record every concert I went to for personal use only. That's the subject of footage for another day. So you know what? In the mid-70s, I had a paper route. We had to work for our money, $30 a month. I cut grass for $5 a cut. That way I could hang out roller skating with girls and stuff like that. I grew up in Canada's furniture capital. I piled hardwood lumber into the boxcars for $8 a day. So yeah, we worked for our dollar. Work was hard back then, a lot harder than it is now. Nowadays, money's hard to earn. It's easy to get, but it's hard to earn. Then you get clowns that just do this fraudulent stuff, and yeah, the 1986 inspection, they know, they've been told. And how about smoke detectors in the attic? They know about that too. But smoke detectors in the attic, they make, say, $2,000 off that, when they're actually supposed to be heat detectors at, $650. You call that fraud? I do. Or how about where they stick a panel in the wall? No permits, no verification, but still, you know, they walk away with $4,500. That's not good value. And it doesn't even comply. I mean, I got pictures of it. My camera goes everywhere with me. So if you like the channel, hit the like button. I'll put a link below to the Auditor General's report. It's good reading. Yeah, if you like the channel, subscribe. Be gentle on the like button. I'm not sure if it's working, so don't hit it too hard.